Hello Legacy Savers. Today we're going to solve by completing the square. This is part 1 of the 2 videos, so please make sure you're watching this one first. And then your learning goal: I can solve a quadratic equation by using completing the square. So we've learned 2 different ways by now to how to solve a quadratic equation, either factoring by solving or solve by getting x squared alone. But now, what if we find one that doesn't work with either of those 2 ways? So this one doesn't factor, nor can I do solve by square root because I have this middle term, this 4x. So I need to know a way to be able to solve that particular quadratic equation. That's why completing the square comes in handy. Completing the square we're going to look at geometrically. So basically, how do you actually complete the square? And we know a square has the same length and width. We've known that since probably elementary school. So what we're going to do is model these equations using blocks. So our x squared term is going to be a square because it's the same length x by the same width x. Then our x is going to be just a rectangle like that. And then we're also going to have these little 1 areas. So I have the particular equation, x squared plus 4x plus blank. I need to know what blank is. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put stuff around my x squared to make a square. So I have 4 x tiles, right? Because it says 4 x's. So how am I going to arrange those around my x squared so I start a square? Well, if I put them like this, it's going to be a little harder for me to fill that in, right? So what if I strategically put my x's around my x squared? Something like this. Split them in half, right? So then I have so many over here and so many over here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how many of these little ones can I fit in this empty spot right here to complete my square. So it looks like I can have 2 1s up there. And let's see how many fill in this bottom row here. Only 2 there. So to complete my square, I had to use 4 1s, right? 4 of the little 1s allowed me to complete my square. Let's try it again. So I have x squared plus 6x plus blank. So I'm going to arrange my x's, my 6 of x's, around my x squared here. Nope, that one got a little hidden. Trying to kind of be a little accurate here. There we go. Let's put 3 on this side. So now I got my 6 x's. Now let's fill in this little white spot here with all my 1s. So looks like each row is going to be 3 1s. So let's fill that in here. Let's see how many rows I can get to make my square. There, so I completed my square. I made a square. How many 1s allowed me to complete my square? Let's count. I had to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 squares. So my blank would be 9 to complete the square. Alright, so let's try this one here. So I got x squared plus 8x plus blank. So I know I gotta arrange my x terms around my x squared here. So I'm going to do half of them on one side, half of them on the other, just like I've done before. So looks like I gotta spin this one. Oops, that was a little crooked. There we go. There we go. Spin this guy around. Spin him. And spin him. So now, this would take forever if I had to fill this in with a bunch of 1s, right? So let's think here logically. How many would take me to fill this in? Well, I know that it would take me 4 this way, right? And then it would take me 4 this way. So if I multiply that, 4 times 4, it will take me 16 little ones to fill this in, right? Because it's going to take me 4 to fill in each column and 4 to fill in each row. So in all, it's going to take me 16 little squares to fill this in. So here is what you're going to want to write down in your notes. There's a shortcut, so we don't have to move around shapes all the time, but you can still kind of think in your head. Here is the shortcut to figuring that out. What you're going to do is take this number right here, and you're going to divide it by 2. So 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And then you're going to multiply it by itself, just like what we multiplied it by itself here. So we divided the 8 into 2 4s, and then we multiplied it. So I want to multiply the 5 by 5. So my blank would be 25. Now, what you can do, this is factorable. This is factorable down to x plus 5. Basically, what you're going to do is this number here that breaks down once you do the divide by 2, that's going to go there. You're going to get an x, and then this sign is going to match this sign right here. Okay? Because if you would multiply this back out, because technically what this stands for is x plus 5 times x plus 5. So if I multiply this all out, I'll get this over here. It's just a simpler way to write that. So then I got x squared minus 18x plus blank. So let's find our blank. I'm going to go negative 18 divided by 2. And since technically you're multiplying by itself, so can't we just say we're going to square that? So negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. Square that. Well, that's 81, right? Negative 9 squared, negative 9 times negative 9 is positive 81. Let's rewrite it. So basically I'm going to have an x and this number right here, negative 9. This sign right here, match that sign. We're perfect up there. Let's fill in this blank. So I got negative 14. Divide that by 2 because I got to put it on both sides of my x squared. And then I would have negative 7 on both sides, right? Or 7 things. Well, I would have to do those together, so I'd get 49. So this is x minus 7 squared. This together makes x minus 7 squared if I would factor it. This one, x squared plus 12x plus blank. Well, 12 divided by 2 squared. Gonna get me my blank. So 6 squared, which is 36. So let's rewrite this one out. I got x plus 6 because the plus comes from that sign right there. And now you can continue on to part 2 of completing the square. Until then, see you later, Sabers.